Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Monday, April 3rd, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. The NCAA men's basketball final is tonight, and it's the championship game we all had in mind when the tournament began, right? Connecticut versus San Diego State. Just kidding. The fourth-seeded Huskies meet the fifth-seeded Aztecs. UConn's looking to win its fifth national title. This is San Diego State's first trip to the Final Four. They provide contrasting styles and paths to the final. Connecticut seems more of a complete team, and it's been running roughshod through the bracket. The 13-point victory over Miami in Saturday's semifinal was the Huskies' lowest winning margin of the tournament. They're beating teams by an average of 20 points. San Diego State has mastered the art of survival. The Aztecs beat Creighton by 1 to reach the Final Four, and then needed this against Florida Atlantic to get to the title game.
Taken on, and it's blocked. Pulled down by Mensa. They have the one timeout. Are they going to take it or not? They don't have the scores on the floor. It's Butler with 2 seconds. He's got to put it up. And he wins it with the jumper.
Yes, the Butler did it. A buzzer beater by Lamont Butler sent San Diego State into the championship game. As for the game, I think San Diego State will need to keep the scoring down and make Connecticut labor on the offensive end. That's easier said than done. UConn comes at you from many different directions. There's a good reason why they're a 7.5-point favorite to win tonight. On today's show, you'll hear from both coaches, Connecticut's Dan Hurley and San Diego State's Brian Dutcher, from their Sunday press conferences. Also, the next Naismith Hall of Fame class was introduced at the Final Four, and you'll hear from 2 of its newest members, Bess and Gene Keady. Bess was the longtime coach at Three Rivers Community College in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and his 1,300 career victories are the most by anyone who has coached college basketball. Gene Keady is a longtime coach at Purdue and is a Kansas native and K-State graduate. I got to ask him how someone who grew up as a better football player transitioned to basketball. Okay, let's get started.
And when you were coming up as a kid and also while you were at Seton Hall, what was sort of your impression of UConn as a program and sort of what they represented?
Well, initially when I was really on the way up, up until Tate George committed there, I didn't know anything about UConn. With all due respect, when you were watching those like early Big East games, it was Pearl, it was Georgetown, it was St. John's. Seton Hall was still, PJ still hadn't gotten it. Eventually where he would get it. So really, not much. And then boom, it was like, then Chris Smith, commits and. Before you know it, I'm watching Bob play them in Sweet 16s at the Meadowlands or Elite 8 games, and now all of a sudden they're like the elite program in the Northeast and one of the best programs in the country. But up until Tate George, I'd be honest with you, I didn't even know they were in the Big East.
Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated. Danny, another flashback question, sorry, but I covered the game in '92, Sweet 16, when you and Bobby guarded each other. Bobby was super uncomfortable. How was that for you, and what was the family dynamics going into that game?
Yeah, that was, back then you didn't really play on, obviously the media, that type of attention, especially when you're like a backup guard playing 10 minutes a game. You're not used to, it's the first time you meet Leslie Visser. You're like, and like, wow, like, why is she talking to like, she should be talking to Terry DeHare. I just remember just the nerves and the anxiety, just because of the media buildup, the Hurley brothers, City of Brotherly Love. I wasn't exactly on top of my game at that point in my career too, and I was going against like my brother and Christian Leitner and Grant Hill. So I knew I was in trouble, and I was a nervous wreck, and I was relieved, to be honest with you. I played as hard as I could, but I was relieved in a big way when it was over.
On the left side of the aisle? Hey, Coach Daniel Marco, USBWA. Since UConn's first championship win in '99, you guys have more titles than any other program, and now tied with North Carolina for most title game appearances. Can you just talk a little bit about where you guys' program just fits in with those kind of more upper echelon teams?
Yeah, I think we have the fan base. We have obviously a huge fan base that travels and has a huge social media presence, and the state and the university obviously supports the program in the best possible way in terms of resources. Obviously, Gino and Coach Calhoun created this brand that makes it very appealing because of the history and tradition. But it really, in the end, it's like, what type of coaching staff can you bring in to a university that's going to attract the type of players that can help you win big? You could have the greatest brand in the world if you don't have like head coaches and the great staff that I have with Kamani, Luke, Tom. Just a great brand isn't enough. It's got to attract the right type of people, or it's just a place that is not guaranteed anything, especially in today's game.
Moving toward the right side up front, Zach.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. Danny, how close were you guys to not getting Adama? And then the second part, what has he meant? Just, you talked about the build. What has he meant to where you guys are now?
Yeah, we were really close. And, that was me and Kamani on that one. And Kamani usually is like trying to keep me, keep my head in the game and not panic. But Kamani was melting down because he looked like he was not going to come to us. And I think Adama began to kind of tell us it was going that way. So I had to convince Kamani, like, hey, we're good. He's a reasonable guy. He's not going to ruin his life and make a bad decision. He's very smart. He's going to pick us. But it was, I can't imagine that. I'd be in trouble right now. What's that? I don't want to do that to these other schools and tell them how close they were. Yeah.
We'll go to Chris then in the center of the room. We'll come back to you, Zach. Lost the microphone, Zach.
Chris Bennett with ESPN. You have the poster-size cardboard cutout of the trophies. What spurred that?
Just back at Rhode Island when we hadn't won an Atlantic 10 championship since Lamar Odom had played there. I don't know how long that stretch was, if it was 15, 16, 17 years. Hadn't had a regular season Atlantic 10 championship in the history of the program. So, and that was our aim, that was our target. Obviously, you need reminders in basketball. There's so many things, especially in today's game. Now you have NIL, you have the portal, you have these guys, obviously, and rightfully so, trying to get to the NBA. With the amount of money those guys are making as quickly as possible. You really got to turn from September through to when the season ends into the we season. Because that the me season is coming very soon. It really hits you as soon as you've played your last game, where it goes from we to me. So we try to make it like this we target on the mission of the group, because that the me part is coming with guys going to the NBA, guys understanding their value with NIL, having the freedom to go wherever they want in the portal. The me season's coming, so during the season you want it we, and focused on winning something.
Coach, we brought Zach the microphone back.
Yes.
Yeah, we did. Zach Brazil, New York Post. Dan, what has Adama meant in this, as you guys have built this program up to you guys, especially what he's done this tournament while he's been fasting?
Yeah, he leads by example. Obviously, the production and performance gives confidence to the group. And then bigger than that, I think when he came into the program, our culture was still a little bit, it wasn't fully formed in terms of a work ethic. People in the gym, like there wasn't a seriousness to what our program was all about. We were still, trying to, again, you couldn't turn the roster the way you can now and quickly, turn the page and get in the mix. So we were, still trying to build a mentality. And I just think him and Andre Jackson coming into the program increased the level of like seriousness and work ethic, because these guys, they live in the gym.
On the right side, 2 seats in. That's for you.
Dan, Joe Zone, Channel 3 Hartford. You've done both, so what's harder, building a program from scratch or rebuilding a legacy program?
They're equally tough, because I think when you're rebuild, or when you're building or rebuild, whatever it is, like a Wagner or a Rhode Island, and you're playing in the Atlantic 10, you probably don't have the same like cachet as like a VCU or a Dayton in terms of the branding. And even back then, my first couple of years in the Atlantic 10, Temple was still in there, Xavier, Butler. So you're not necessarily getting everyone's best shot. You're not the game that's circled on the calendar. So you could kind of sneak up on people a little bit. When you coach UConn, you don't get to sneak up on anybody. You get everyone's best shot. And then you don't get the same level of patience from, not folks like you, Joe. You got tremendous patience, but the media, the fan base, it's you get everyone's best shot, and then there's a lot of external that the players, you're concerned with your players in terms of how they're going to handle the criticism, the critiques on the way back up the mountain. It's not linear, there's setbacks, and in a place like UConn, you got to be mentally tough, and you have to have the stomach for it as a player or as a coach.
Hey, this is Blair. There are several ways to access the Star Sports section. Let me tell you about a couple of them. There's Sports Pass. For $12.99 a month, you get unlimited digital access to all of the Star Sports content, including beat writing, columns, features, pretty much everything we write. The deal renews monthly until you tell us to cancel. For $159.99 a year, you get everything the Star has to offer digitally, including sports and the e-edition. Go to kansascity.com and drop down to the bottom of the page where it says Start a Subscription for more information. Your support has never been more important. As always, thanks for reading and listening.
Good morning, Coach Dutcher. We'd like to get an opening statement from you, and then we'll open things up to questions.
Just over the top excited to be playing for the national championship. Like most of the teams in the tournament, everybody puts in hard work, but sometimes you just hit your rhythm. You find a way to win games. And that's what we've done. And we're proud of our group, proud to represent San Diego State on the biggest stage Monday night in the national championship game.
We're going to start on the left side. Let's go with Dana, and then Aaron after Dana.
Dana O'Neill at The Athletic. Dutch, when you kind of came to San Diego State and Steve came along, how much work needed to be done?
We opened up Viejas Arena, a brand new arena. That was a huge difference maker. They had been playing in Peterson Gym or the Downtown Sports Arena, and to have a facility on campus arena, we could draw to that. It was something we could convince recruits to come to. The city of San Diego, our university are great, but they had no facility. And now we had a facility, and then, thanks to, I'll bring his name up, John Moores, helped build us our athletic administration building, Tony Gwynn Stadium. He kind of put the seed money into San Diego State. He saw something there, he wanted to help, and he helped us with facilities. And once you have facilities to draw to, you have a chance.
Up front on the left side, Aaron.
Yep. Brian, Aaron Beard with the Associated Press. You lost some guards from either graduation or transfer since the start of last season. You found a way through the portal to sort of replenish and bolster the roster. I'm kind of curious, with that as an asset you have this year that wasn't there in past years, how did you go about saying, okay, this is what we have, this is what we need, and these are the right guys to fit what we need?
Yeah, well, we knew we had a lot of pieces coming back, but we lost Trey Pulliam, our point guard. So we knew we wanted to add another point guard, and we went in the portal. We found Darian Trammell at Seattle U. He was a California kid. He'd had a really good year at Seattle U, both scoring-wise, leading their team defensively. And so 2 2 weeks ago, after we lost in the first round, we got on a plane. We flew in there, the first one in to see him, took the whole coaching staff and convinced them that San Diego State was a great place to continue his career. We got him, and players make the difference, not coaches. So we added another really good player to a good team coming back, and he was a huge difference maker for us this year.
Coach, we're going to go toward the back to the right of the aisle. East Village Times, right there in the Gaslamp Quarter in San Diego.
Coach, when we spoke to all of your players in the preseason, they all spoke about being here at this moment. It's easy to say that in the summer, in October. Why did your team have the belief that this was possible?
I said it before. I thought the addition of Jaden Ledee was going to be a huge difference maker for us. You know, we knew Darian was going to be good, a new piece, but Jaden, having watched him practice for a full year, and then we had a close scrimmage against UCLA, and I think they got ahead, I don't know, maybe like 20-some points on us in the first half, and we ended up tying it at halftime, like 44-45, and you're like, wow, this is, you know, we got a really good team. And then it was back and forth in the second half. They beat us maybe in a one-possession game. And so at that point, you know, even that early, you're thinking, wow, we might have something really good here. Well, obviously, it took Jaden a while to get his feet underneath him. You know, he was trying so hard to have success that he was almost pressing his game. And then you look at the difference he made last night. I mean, he was the guy we went to for 2 baskets down the stretch. And so the addition of he and Darian, we knew with what we had coming back, gave us a chance to be really good.
Staying on the left side, Coach, right of the aisle, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Sweeney, Sports Illustrated. Coach, I know you've spoken a lot about how you felt like this was possible from the moment you stepped on campus, but was there a point in this rebuilding process over these last, 24 years that you felt like things were really turning and that you had gotten the level you needed to be competing for championships?
I mean, this is up for debate. Sometimes your best teams, and obviously this is going to go down as the greatest team in San Diego State history, but there are other teams that were equal to this, if not maybe better in some areas. You know, the Kawhi Leonard team with Billy White and Malcolm Thomas, DJ Gay, Chase Tapley, Jamal Franklin. That was an incredible team. We lost to UConn and Kemba Walker in the Sweet 16. That team was capable of winning it all. I've talked about the Xavier Thames team with J.J. O'Brien, Skylar Spencer, Dwayne Polee, Josh Davis. That was an elite team that lost in the Sweet 16. And so sometimes you just have to have the right matchups, be playing your best basketball, get a break here or there. So we've had other teams I felt were capable over our career to make a run in a Final Four.
Coach, we're going to go to the right side of the room, up front. John?
Saturday at West, John Gold. Coach, was there a moment during the transition from Coach Fisher to you where you felt like you finally put your stamp on the program?
I mean, that first year, we struggled as a team, but we did what all San Diego State's teams seem to do. We got better as the year went on, and we won the conference tournament. So I felt, really good about that in my first year that we were able to hang a banner. And then, when you replace a guy whose name's on the court, you know how you better win. You better win right away, especially if you have no head coaching on your resume, So as much as I felt good about who I am and how I do things, you have to win in this business to survive. And so, year 6, we've held 6 championship banners, and now we made a Final Four. And so sometimes it's not how you feel you do things. It's how the people that hire you and look at you feel you do things. So I had to have success, and I recruited the kind of players that are very good, and I had a coaching staff that's out of this world good. And so I surrounded myself with good players and good coaches, and good things have happened for me and the Aztec basketball program.
Coach, staying on the right side, right in front of us here.
Yeah, Dutch, sorry. No matter what happens, Tuesday morning, the core of this group will be gone. And in a special run like this, people want to hold on to a sunset like this. But how will you remember these guys specifically, and how will that feel come Tuesday?
Well, first of all, Bryce, I'm recruiting right now, too. I'm on the phone recruiting, and I'm not just saying it. If we have back what we think we're going to have back, I told him in some regards, I think next year's team will be better. Now, whether we make it to a Final Four or have the kind of success we've had, we have a program now. I don't think we're one-hit wonder. We're going to be good every year. I'll remember these guys because they were my original group. Coach always remembers his first team. Adam Seiko's spent 6 years with me. Matt Mitchell and Jordan Shackle, who were gone, spent that first year. They came with me. And then you got Nathan Menzel, Gwooka Rope. They're 5-year guys with me on my 6 years. And so, they're my first real team. And so they've made it through the program. And they've been successful at every level. When I got hired all those years ago with Coach Fisher, Rick Bay, our athletic director, he just said, you got to have good students. And then you got to have good citizens. And then you have to have a good team. If you're lacking in any of those areas, you can't feel good about it. If you're winning games with kids that don't graduate and bad kids, no one's going to feel good about that. But if you have kids with good grades and graduate and good citizens, you don't win, no one's going to like that either. So we've been able to put a program together. We have all those things. We have really good kids that are really good citizens and are really good basketball players. And that's how you build a program.
To the center of the room, Coach.
Yeah, Brian, here in the center, David Cobb from CBS Sports. How did growing up as the son of a coach mold you and kind of shape you into the coach and person you are today?
You're surrounded by it, like Danny is. He's got a father that's a legendary coach. And you just grow up around the game. You see how losing hurts. And it's funny, Richard, our sports information director, always asks me, do you want a book after the end of the game, the running play-by-play? And I said, no, Richard, I can go back and watch the tape, and I kind of saw what was going on. And I remember my dad, they didn't have tape back then. You couldn't watch the game right away. So he would open that book and go, well, here they are on a 6-0 run, and this is what happened, and this happened, and, it's a whole different era. But it's coaching. And I always say my dad's era of coaches, they were way better coaches than we were, because they didn't have all this film and they didn't have all this stuff. We know every play every team's going to run, we play. You'd go and you'd scout one game and play a team. You'd have no film on them. You'd had no way to know what they were doing. And you had to make real game time adjustments. Like, what was that? What did they just run? You'd have to recognize it. Right now, to me, game coaching is so much easier than those guys that had to do it way back when and actually recognize what was going on during the course of a game.
It's my pleasure to introduce first the all-time winningest college coach across all levels, who led Three Rivers Community College for 50 years. He was named the NCAA Coach of the Year twice and won 2 national championships. Gene Bess.
I was honored to stay in the same community for 50 years, and if you understood that, you'd know that was a challenge and probably the greatest feat that I did in all my coaching. Pretty tough to stay in a little area for 50 years and really stay there. But I enjoyed junior college. I felt like that was my God-given place to do my job. I found out that I coached almost 500 players during the time that I was there. And, when you are working with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, you got a challenge. And I really felt like, that was what I was led to do. And so honored to be here. I had any thoughts about being in the Hall of Fame, but I'm here with a bunch of great guys, and I'm just humble and honored to be here.
Next up, I'd like to introduce a coach who spent 27 seasons as the head coach of Western Kentucky and 25 at Purdue. He was named the National Coach of the Year 6 times, Big Ten Coach of the Year 7 times. His 512 wins are the most in Boilermaker history. He led Purdue to 17 NCAA tournament appearances, and the hometown street that he grew up in, Larned, Kansas, is named Gene Keady Way. Please welcome Hall of Famer Gene Keady.
Thank you, Mark. Sometimes your friends know too much about you, but it's a real pleasure to be here. I'm very honored for this opportunity to speak to you because without people around you, you can't achieve this achievement. It's about us, not me. And I really appreciate being honored for this. It's the biggest honor I've ever achieved.
Second row on the left, Blair.
This is for Gene Keady. Coach, even though you're from basketball-centric Kansas, basketball didn't enter your life the way football did early on. I wonder if you can explain why football was such an important sport for you, and then how you transitioned to basketball.
Well, I was better at football, and basketball was kind of the king of the state in Kansas. Kansas was good at it. Kansas State was good. Wichita State was good. And most of the junior colleges were good. So you just kind of go along with the flow and try to do what's right for yourself to get your degree and your family. And that's why I stayed in basketball. And it's warmer, too, by the way. So it was one of those things where I did it because I loved it and I was pretty good at it and I had great people around me.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to Randy Mason for putting together today's show, and to our SportsBeat KC staff of Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, and Scott Chasen. Today's morning sports edition is packed full of Final Four coverage for the men and women, baseball news, the weekend in auto racing and golf, and so much more. Check it out at liveedition.kansascity.com. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon with another SportsBeat KC, where we talk sports in Kansas City every day.